Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we're coming into the most dangerous time of the year for dieters. We're talking about the holiday season. We'll be talking to a leading national expert next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I don't know anyone who doesn't want to keep in shape and lose a couple of pounds, but we're coming into this season where you're going to grandma's house and she's pushing pecan pie on you. And not one slice. If you don't love me, don't you love me enough to have a second slice? And of course you end up indulging, and later you feel like you want to go into a turkey coma. To talk about that today, Dr. Randy Johns with Happy Healthy Central. Thanks for coming on the show.
Jeff, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So thankful to be here.
Well, now you deal with this too. You've got relatives who push stuff on you, right?
Oh yeah, I remember the conversation I had with my grandma that you just described, when she would always make cornbread for me. And I remember the first Thanksgiving that I stopped eating corn and any grain.
Right.
She was like, I made this for you, and I felt horrible. So I think I might have eaten it that time, but I said, Grandma, I'm making radical health changes. I want to be a living, walking, breathing example. So how about we just move over and let's start making something else, which is kind of a fun conversation. But yeah, it's a total thing where some of those emotional love languages are done through food in the holidays.
Okay, before we get into your program, give us kind of an overview of your view of health and nutrition, because I know almost every major disease that we face in society can be traced back to diet, can't it?
Oh, you couldn't ask a better question. And I think it's the one thing a lot of times in our current healthcare model, we kind of gloss over and go straight to the treatments. But most conditions are metabolic conditions that can be changed through nutritional strategies. So eating real foods just is so important. You think about our ancestors, the foods that they ate. These are foods that don't even exist anymore. You walk into a grocery store, this stuff is built for shelf life, Jeff.
Right.
It's not even real. And I always say real food is if you stick food on the counter, come back in 2 weeks. If it looks the same, it's not food. So your prepackaged food, your protein bars, your shakes, your canned goods, those are not real foods because they don't deteriorate.
That's powerful. And we fall victim to advertising, and you go to the store and you see these cookies, and they're all natural.
Exactly. If you go to the health food section of the store, just turn the box over and look at the first ingredient. I can guarantee you it is sugar, and then the next thing's probably some type of a seed oil that's been processed with hexane, and it's gonna preserve the food, not nourish the body.
Yes. Okay. Well, you have a very popular podcast. We're going to put it up on the screen. I want you to talk about why you launched the podcast. What kind of topics do you get into?
Yeah, so I really, as a clinician, I really missed, once I'd sold my clinic, I missed having these conversations with patients and clients. And so the podcast was a great opportunity to start getting content out there, disrupt a little bit, talk about some real powerful metabolic conditions that we can influence with our diet. So the podcast was really built around wanting to educate people, help them be the CEO of their own journey, and really get command of their metabolism. Which I think right now, we look at America, over 70% of us are overweight and struggling, and that is not normal, and there are real solutions to correct that.
Yeah, and I want to vouch for this man because I gave him a man hug in the lobby, and I felt nothing but muscle. He walks his talk. I want to talk a little bit more about your television and radio and print experience, because it seems like you're always on the news. We've got a clip that I want to put up on the screen. It feels good to educate people through the media, doesn't it?
It does. I've loved this opportunity. I've been doing this now for 7 years. And wow, I've been able to connect to a whole new audience of people that I would have never had the opportunity to connect with, Jeff. So yeah, I love speaking about health and taking on the challenging questions that people have about health, like what we're doing today. So the media has been a great opportunity for me. And I've been able to do that in several different markets across the country.
Yes.
So hopefully this podcast thing we're doing is going to give us more of an opportunity to help spread this message of real health, which is so important right now.
And I find that many of the broadcasters you're talking to need this advice themselves. Often it's a morning show where the person is getting up at 2, 3 in the morning.
Yes.
Sleep is so important. Let's talk a little bit about sleep.
Oh man, sleep is that's when your body heals and repairs itself. And if you don't get sleep, a lot of times that can even increase certain metabolic hormones that can cause you to gain weight. So if you've heard of cortisol, cortisol is a hormone that can increase if you don't get sleep. So you're thinking, I didn't even eat anything, yet I'm gaining weight. Not sleeping is a big part of that.
And I was on your website and I came across one product that you offer on your website, and I want you to talk about this.
Yeah.
We're going to put it up on the screen. What is SCT oil?
Oh man, this has been the game changer. So it stands for short chain triglyceride oil. So you've got long chain fatty acids, you got medium chain fatty acids. This is a short chain fat, so it's perfect for priming the gut, the brain, the liver for fat burning. It's really the metabolic link between your nutrition, your gut-brain axis, and your overall health. And your body will make these fats when your microbiome is healthy. Unfortunately, so many of us, Jeff, have a very disrupted microbiome. So there's dysbiosis, there's bacteria overgrowth. And so gut health is so key. SCT oil can help improve those conditions and support a healthy metabolism.
And how do you consume it? I mean, it looks like peanut butter. So do you eat it right out of the
So
jar?
I do sometimes. Sometimes a little bit of raw honey and some SCT oil after a workout, but it's perfect to cook with. It's got a 500-degree smoke point, which is very high. I like to put it in my coffee as well. So a nice cup of coffee with some SCT oil, throw it in the blender, little trace mineral salts. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to use it. Those are my favorite ways.
Okay, let's talk about your new coaching program that you're offering, because I know you've helped countless people get their metabolism back in alignment. Talk about it.
Yeah, I'm so passionate about this. I launched this company. My brother died at 27 years old. I don't know if you even knew that. He was 100 pounds overweight. And when he passed away, that really wanted me to help create a system to help people like my brother where diet and exercise just didn't work. And so now, almost 8 years later, we've got so much evidence now with people going through our program. It's a 5-week system where you can totally heal your metabolism. And when I say heal, create fat adaptation, create real metabolic flexibility, create insulin sensitivity, so you can have a whole new, like a thermostat, like you set your thermostat, whatever the weather's doing, it's going to stay there. Well, your brain will now see you at this new weight. So within 5 weeks, we're seeing 25, 30 pound weight loss, and then resetting it with a new thermostat. It's been awesome to see, and we do it now virtually. So instead of clinically, we're now helping people all over the world right now.
It's almost taking a scientific approach to the body rather than hey, let's try this diet or that diet, because we all know people who have lost and gained 100 pounds over the course of their life.
Yeah, they have, and we were talking about it earlier about, like, for example, the keto diet. You put 10 people on a keto diet, 4 lose weight, 4 don't see any results, and 2 gain because it had nothing to do with them. That's the spaghetti on the wall approach, the caloric restriction. And we know when you calorically restrict, those calories, when they come back, the weight's going to come back too. So we really identified certain metabolic disruptor types like adrenal, liver, ovarian, thyroid. People fall into these categories, and once we know which category they fall into, we can customize a whole strategy around real foods, proper supplementation, and that's how we get these results, because it's all customized.
And I think it's become very noisy and very confusing, because not only do you have advice from the media in this study that, one day it says coffee's bad for you, one day it says coffee's good for you, one day wine is good for you, one day it's bad for you. But now you have these TikTok influencers, and all of them look credible, and they talk about what, the before and afters. I'm sure you have a lot of patients come to you just totally confused.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons it's so hard. It is confusing. You think about all the diet programs that are out there, but they all have one thing in common. It's going to include caloric restriction, and the metabolism has to adapt, Jeff. So if you cut your calories, the metabolism is going to adapt, and then when you bring the calories back in, it doesn't fully adapt, because if it stayed burning the calories at this level, we'd ultimately die. So you keep slowing down your metabolism as you keep cutting calories, reintroducing them back in, but it is confusing. There's a lot of information out there. However, here's what we do know, is that eating real food goes a really long way, and that Eating less often goes a long way as well. A lot of times we're told we have to eat 5-6 times a day, which we could even fall into during the holidays where you're grabbing a bite of a cookie, a sip of the wassail from your grandmother that she makes. Or we call it wassail in my family.
Yeah, sure.
But you could find yourself snacking all day, getting all these insulin hits, and really damaging your metabolism, especially going into the new year, which they're saying, hey, we want to lose weight now, and you already put on another 15 during the holidays because you just didn't have a plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get some concrete steps
Okay, let's do it.
for navigating the holidays, because I know I've had years where I had 3 Thanksgiving dinners, because you're going to 3 different homes and every single one of them is pushing stuff on you.
Yes,
So how do you
yes.
end up navigating this, especially with the emotional pressure that you feel?
Yeah, well, one of the myths I'll tell you right now is that eating gives you energy. Think about after Thanksgiving lunch. Are you energetic? You're asleep. And so I think, going into the holidays, I want to enjoy. I don't get to see a lot of my friends and family except this one time during the year. And if I go into the holidays just eating whatever with no plan, no strategy, indulging on everything, including alcohol, then I'm not going to feel good. I'm not going to have my energy, and I'm not really going to be available to create those conversations, those memories that I want to create. But you got to go into the holidays with a plan. If you don't have a plan and you just go into it reckless, there's no moral code to measure it against. So you're going to grab anything and everything that you want. So I kind of know when I go into the holidays, I'm going to make sure I pick a protein. Usually there's turkey, and turkey's great because it can also start to increase the hormones that make you full. So you'll start to feel full. So have your protein first, right? Then have some healthy fats, whatever's being served. In our family, there's a lot of healthy fats all over the place, SCT oil, grass-fed butter. And that way, I'm already getting full and I have a less of a temptation to go for the dessert if I start with the good proteins and the veggies first.
And I imagine if you reset your metabolism using your program, your furnace is burning so hot, you could have a cheat meal.
Absolutely.
And it's not going to destroy the whole machine.
No. Remember, it's not what we eat all the time. It's what does your body do with the calories when you eat it? Does it burn it or does it store it? A healthy metabolism will burn thousands and thousands of calories. So yes, when you've got a healthy metabolic rate, you get the wiggle room. You don't have to be perfect. You can have the 3rd glass of wine. You can jump in there and get the pumpkin pie or the pecan pie, which is my favorite, by the way.
Yes.
You get to have those luxuries, but if you're metabolically unhealthy, it just doesn't matter what you do, you can't budge. Even cutting calories very, very low, it feels like it doesn't matter what you do, you just can't lose the weight. And that's not fun in life, because I love to travel and try different foods and all those things that all of us enjoy. If you don't have a good metabolism, Jeff, it makes life a lot less fun.
All right, did you ever have a problem with weight?
I didn't, and that was interesting because I would have never thought I would have been in this space, considering I've never had a weight problem. My brother Russell never had a weight problem. But I told you about Ryan, him struggling the way he did. That's really what moved me into this space, because I'm like, Ryan tried all the diets. He tried all the exercise programs. Heck, I was his personal coach trying to help him at the time, yet nothing seemed to work because he would lose weight. Of course, when he wasn't perfect, it would all come back, which is really what dieting is. You got to be perfect. You got to starve yourself. You have to completely avoid all the foods that you love. And so, this space for me is very important because I saw what happened to my brother. And now doing this for as long as I have, I've seen it play out in a lot of family members, people that I care about. These things are avoidable. Diabetes, heart disease, stroke, cancer, all these chronic conditions have metabolic foundations that can be influenced and changed very quickly. And when you do that, you give yourself the best chance to not end up in those situations, because none of us thinks we're ever going to have a heart attack. We never think we're going to be the one getting the cancer diagnosis. But let's be honest, the numbers don't lie. It is you. It is me if we don't take action and be proactive with our health, and nutritional changes can't be understated.
Okay, almost out of time, so I want you to look at the viewer or there at the camera on the left. Message for the person who's watching this says, this seems too good to be true. I've heard this all before. What do you want to say to that person?
First off, I would say that it's not your fault, right? If you've ever said things like, if I wasn't lazy and went to the gym more, if I was better with my nutrition and had more willpower, then I would deserve to be at a good weight. It's just not true. Give yourself a break. It's not your fault, it's your metabolism. And your metabolism can be looked at, it can be assessed, it can be approved, it can be done naturally without any medication. So really taking action is the first step. Information is only valuable if you do something with it. So take action, do something about it. I'm here to help. That's why Jeff had me on today. So I would encourage you, don't put it off any longer, because the best time to do something Of course, they said the best time to plant a tree 20 years ago. The second best time, do something right now and take action.
Wow, great way to end this show. We're going to end with the website as well. That's happyhealthycentral.com. Dr. Randy Johns, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jeff.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.